The one, the only, Ben Sion. Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Daily Double. Today we're doing Shekalim, Perek Dalid, Mishnah is Dalid, and hey, Mishnah Dalid says most are truma ma'ayu osinba, right? And the truma, for Nissan, he would take 3 baskets and fill them with coins and buy the karbanos until you got to Shavuos or 15 days before Shavuos. So he didn't always use all the coins in the basket. What do you do with the extra coins that he didn't use? Rakue zav. The Tanakh says you would use it to make into sheets of gold. Sipa lebes kachim, to make, even though the walls were coated with gold, they would add layers of gold to the walls of the Kodesh Hakdashim. Rishbal Omer, Mosar aperos leketzim mizbeach, Mosar truma lekli sharis. Rishmal says Mosar aperos. According to Rishmal, they did business. They did with the Shirei Alishka, the extra money they had from the Jews Alishka. They did business. They bought wine and oil and flour, and they sold it for a marked up price. So if they had extra money for that, what would they do with that? They would do it for Ketzim Mizbeach. They bring karbanos when the Mizbeach has no karbanos brought in it. It's disgraceful to the Mizbeach not to have karbanos brought in it. So it's like dessert for the Mizbeach. You bring karbanos ola on the Mizbeach. Most of our truma kli shar is extra money from the truma. Tanakh felt it goes for a gold covering in the base Kodesh Hakdashim. He says you brought kli sharis, you brought kalim that were used to bring karbanos. Let's say, karbanos that they accepted the blood with, and karbanos that cooked the meat in. Rabbi Kiva Omer, most are truma l'ketzim mizbeach. Rabbi Kiva says the extra truma goes for ketzim mizbeach, goes for the karbanos. So most are nesachim l'kli sharis. Most are nesachim is something else that even Rabbi Kiva admits to, even though he says you don't do profit, but they would have to buy. It wasn't available to everyone to have wine for the libation, so they would make a deal with a wine dealer, and they would buy a certain amount of liters of wine, let's say, for the entire year. And if by the time the end of the year came, when by the time they ordered it, they gave an advance order. By the time it was ready to deliver the order, the price of wine had gone down. So they ordered, 1,000 liters, and the price of wine, instead of 1,000 liters, instead of costing $100, only cost $50. They had extra money, and they had extra money. What do you do with that extra money? That, according to Rabbi Kiva, you use a kli sharis. You use to make kalim, new kalim for the base mikdash. Rabbi Chananya beis Kana Kohanim Omer, a fourth opinion, most are nesachim l'keren hamizbeach. This extra money you got from the nesachim would go for the karbanos. So most are truma kli sharis, the exact opposite of Rabbi Kiva. The extra truma in the utensils you took, the baskets you took to take the coins, should be used for kli sharis. Zeh lo yomod and peiros. Rabbi Chananya Kana Kohanim and Rabbi Kiva didn't agree with making a business out of selling the yeno shmanim v'salsos. Rabbi Yishmael, the second opinion, did. Hey, most are ktores ma yosima. Let's say they had extra ktores. The ktores was they made 368 portions during a year, which had 365 days, right? Not a leap year. So, at least a solar year. They would go the solar year. So they had 365 days, and they had 3 measurements left over. That was used for the avoda on Yom Kippur, which involved the Ketores, also bringing the Ketores into the Kodesh Hakdashim. However, certain years they only had 354 days. We go by a lunar calendar in Judaism, so there was 11 portions left over, and also the 3 portions for Yom Kippur. Not all of it was used. What would you do with the extra Ketores? The people that worked to make the Ketores, they were paid by the Beis Mikdash, the Trumas Alishka, to pay it. So the money that we owed them, they would take that money from the Trumas Alishka, which has Kedusha. They would give it to a third party. And once it went to the third party, it went out of Kedusha. It had Kedusha as money of Trumas Alishka, but they gave it to a third person, they mizake it to a third person to be responsible to give it to these umne, and it lost its Kedusha. Now, it doesn't just lose its Kedusha like that, but as we see, there's a concept throughout these Mishnayos that the Beis Din has the koach to lave Beis Din masnal layam. The Beis Din of the Sanhedrin has the ability to take money out of its kedusha, and there was no penalty for that, even though a regular person would be fined with the penalty of me'ilah. Then, so now, right, and they would give to the umnim b'schar, and so now, the Torres, right, that money that they set aside for the workers, they would redeem the Torres. Actually, Torres had kedusha onto the money, so the kedusha for the Torres would go to the money, and the Torres would be left without kedusha. And then we give the non-kodesh Torres to the umnin. The umnin didn't get paid yet, so they get the Torres for their which was valuable spices, valuable fragrances you can make into some nice Gucci guilty black cologne. That's what I bought. It's really good. And now the Kohanim were left with this Torres that was not Kadosh. So the next year when it came, they would buy it with the new money from the Chumas Kadasha. So therefore it would go back into Kedusha. In Baal Kadosh Bizmano Lokanos Chuma Kadasha. That's only if people had given them money by Aleph Nisan. If people had not given money they didn't have sufficient funds to buy the Torahs back, so then they would buy it from old money, which is b'diavad, but there's nothing else to do, because on Aleph Nisan you have to buy all the karbanos, at least the new Torahs for the upcoming year. Hope you enjoyed today's share. Stay tuned for Iyam Mitzion, where I discuss Mishnah Dalet in greater detail.